Welcome, welcome back to Crafting a Meaningful Life. We're here to help us, Vanessa and I, she's my guest today, craft our meaningful lives. And we're here to help you craft your meaningful life, because none of us want to get to the end and be just bobbleheads being knocked around with whatever society has for us. Because trust me, right now society does not know what's best for me. And I'm sure they don't know what's best for you. So let's decide how we're going to craft that meaningful life. And to help me with that today, I have my wonderful, wonderful friend, Vanessa Perez. Welcome, welcome, my love.
Thank you, my dear friend Mary Crafts. It is just wonderful to be here with you and your listeners today. Thank you.
You are the brightest light out there right now. I mean, seriously, every time I turn around, there's Vanessa. Oh, do you know? And blah, blah. I'm like, excuse me, I knew Vanessa first. Thank you very much. I was one of her first friends in Utah. And yes, yes. All right. So you're originally from Australia.
I am.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll know that
from
soon.
Sydney, Australia.
Sydney. I love Sydney. Cleanest city on the planet.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful city.
I loved being there. The hospitality industry, the how they take care of you in the restaurants and hotels. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I overcame my first big fear that started me on my journey of being fearless.
Ooh.
On the Sydney Bridge.
On
the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Climbing the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Yes.
Wow.
And I had avoided anything like that my entire life. I was either got sick at the last minute or made some horrible excuse, work. We were at the bottom of that bridge, my family, and my children said, "Let's climb the bridge." I'm like, how do I get out of this? I went into the bathroom and just sat in there and cried, thinking, I can't just walk out and say I got sick. They've been with me all day. How do I get out of this? I don't know what to do. And I kept thinking what excuse I could come up with. And finally I realized that fear had a hold of my jugular vein. I couldn't even breathe. And I just sat there and I thought, not today. I came out of that bathroom stall like a bat out of hell. I yelled at my family, "Let's go." And they were like, "Wow, Mom, and I put my harnesses on and up we started going. And I was so scared. I peed my pants. The people below me were just like, "What the hell?" And I just kept climbing till finally we got to the top. And my son said, Mom, we're at the top. And I realized I could do hard things. For the first time in my life, Vanessa, I was in your country, on your bridge, when the whole life of Mary Crafts changed course.
Mary, that's phenomenal. What a beautiful, now new connection we have.
Yeah.
I spent 20 years commuting to work by ferry, coming into Circular Quay by ferry. And I used to jump off that bridge when I was in the army.
Jump off?
Yes, we did a fundraiser and I used to abseil off the bridge every year to raise money for the hospital. Jump for joy, they called it. Yeah. So
there you go.
Bridge. What a lovely connection. And I am so proud of you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. It was interesting. I was 51. And now I'm 71, so that was 20 years ago. Wow. And my life changed forever on that bridge.
Isn't that amazing? Take it into your own hands and accept the challenge. Bless you. That's just fantastic. Fear is a very hard thing to overcome. Fear of heights is very hard. Fear of heights.
And that was, of course, just one of my many fears. I had fear of failure, fear of people laughing at me, fear of looking at me, fear of showing up, fear of being late, fear of never being dressed right, fear of fights. I mean, you name it, I had the fear. One by one. One by one.
Do you know, I think I joined the army at such a young age, 18.
How old were you?
18 when I joined the army.
Wow.
And if there's one thing that gets you over the fear of anything and makes you want to challenge yourself is military training. I've parachuted, jumped off cliffs, jumped off bridges, and think at first you just kind of go, okay, I can do it. And you just do it. You just do it. You just have to do it. I tell you what, if you don't take that leap out of the plane, someone's going to put a foot in your back in the army. And they do.
And would you rather jump on your own decision or be booted out?
On my own time. And this actually happened to me the first time I parachuted. I did have a sergeant in my back saying, if you don't go, I'm going to put my foot in your back and you're going out. And I went, you don't have to do that. I'm going to go, Yeah. And I did. And I didn't hesitate and I did it. And, but always of your own choosing.
Yeah. Well, Vanessa, your life has been one of your own choosing. You are one of the most self-directed people that I know. And so share with us a little bit about your journey from being in the Army and a paratrooper to how you ended up in IT and smack dab in the middle of Utah.
Thank you. I should say I was not a paratrooper, and I did 3 parachute jumps.
Okay. Well, I'm making you a paratrooper. You're going to get your honorary badge.
I have hundreds of friends who are. I grew up in a tiny mining town in Newcastle, which is about an hour north of Sydney. And it was so small that I think the town near us had 2,000 people. I think our town, I don't know, I should have looked up the numbers, hundreds of people, no one. Most people, or most young ladies graduating high school went to secretarial school, and it wasn't for me. And I grappled for a little while. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and I was a beach bum for a while after I graduated school. And, a friend at the beach said, hey, you'd be great in the Army. He was in the Army Reserves. And I went, oh, just idiot. Like, what would I do that for? And then I'm riding my bike. I didn't get a license until I was 25, actually. And I lived in the city and I was around public transport, but I was riding my bike to the beach and I saw an Army recruiting van and I ducked in and I went, okay, tell me about what this is. And I enlisted that day. I just joined the Army like that. And we didn't have Army recruiting come to school or anything like that. Like, we were a little tiny school with 24 people when I was graduating high school. And but my grandmother was in World War II and she was a nurse, and I think that was my link to going, Audrey was in the Army, like, I'll keep that alive kind of thing. And I loved it. I loved it from the minute I joined. I served 23 years in uniform, and I think if I was still in Australia today, I would still be in uniform. I'd probably be the oldest sergeant, but I'd still be in uniform. I loved it.
Of course you would. Yeah.
It wasn't easy. It was tough and it was challenging. But in, looking back, I got so much out of that service, even the hard things.
Especially the hard things.
Especially. I mean, that's what shapes you to face the challenges and the adversity that you have in life. And I sometimes joke and say there's nothing anybody could say to me in corporate America that would make me cry or be shocked or scare me or intimidate me.
Yes.
You've grown up in Australian Special Forces in the 80s, given away my age there. And I didn't. So that was really, I had a job at high school in a supermarket like most of us do, right? And that was like my part-time job. But I didn't really get my first real full-time job until I was probably 6 months into my Army service. So I'd gone away and done my boot camp. At the bottom of my bio, it says, ask me about the first time I flew in a plane. Well, the first time I flew in a plane was an Army exercise in Darwin, and the plane was hijacked. So
I saw that, and I'm like, what?
In the Army, like, I don't know, 5 months or something, and they go, hey, we've got this exercise going up in Darwin. Who wants to go? I'll go. It was a plane hijacking, and one of the terrorists was sitting next to me and, puts the gun to my head and all that screaming and everything. That was all very adventurous and fun and interesting.
Gosh, girl.
And I still stay in contact with him. I ended up moving to Sydney soon after, and then I joined that unit, which was 1 Commando Regiment, and I served in that regiment for 19 years.
Wow.
Very proud. So that's Green Berets, Special Forces, and went on to actually produce our 50th anniversary history book. which was one of the, when the army get you to do something and you...
let's see.
And you go, crikey, could I even do that? Well, I did do that, and I produced this huge...
Look at that.
Within 12 months. And Mary, no budget. No budget.
And it's a beautiful book.
It's a beautiful book. I'm very, very proud of it. And we did a limited edition version with all gold embossed pages, all individually signed by luminaries of our regiment. I'm very proud of that as well. And I get stuff done. I like to say I get shit done, but I don't know if I can say that.
You can say that. You can say that here.
Stuff done. And no matter how challenging, and that's what I think about my new mission now that I'll tell you about in a minute. So, how did I get to Utah? I should actually say that my first job that I got, so my army service, I enlisted as a reservist, and I served 17 years in the reserves. And then I switched over. Actually, when I was doing that book, I switched over to full-time service. I did another 6 years. What you say active duty over here is full-time service in Australia.
Sure.
And my first career was in the railway industry, and I joined as a temporary employee on a 6-month project, moved to Sydney with that project. I will say my army service has always stood me in good stead with my leadership roles.
Absolutely.
And I was like 3 weeks into that gig, and I'm 18 and I get promoted to supervise a team of 22 people. Like in their 50s. It was awesome. And then I moved to Sydney with that project.
And you're a woman.
Yes. Well, I think people just go, well, you're in the military, you know how to lead people, like you're a leader.
Yeah.
I think there's a confidence that comes with that. You just, especially if you hold rank or whatever. So...
And so now, when we think about women, we don't think about that holding anybody back from anything, even though it still does, but we don't really think about that. But when you were doing this in the 80s, that was still a big thing. That wouldn't be something that women could do. Well,
I joined the Army and 1 Commando Regiment. It was just years after we used to have the Women's Royal Australian Army Corps. Like, women were not serving with men. They were separate. It was separate.
Right.
And if you got married, you were booted out. You couldn't be married and be in the army. And that ended, like, not even 5 years before I transferred to this regiment. So women didn't... There was one other woman in this unit when I transferred there as an 18-year-old, naive, small town... wide-eyed young lady. I used to cry when I went there. It was so horrible. It was so horrible. I would cry and I'd go, but I'm not going to give this up. I like it. I want to do this. I was an adventurer. And it was 6 months of initiation, just hard, like treat her terribly.
Yeah.
Because they won't stay. If they can get through how we treat them, then they're likely to stay for a long time. And I went on to be the longest serving woman in the regiment.
Of course you did.
At that time. But it was, I remember it was like 6 months, I'd done my parachute jump that day. They'd treated me terribly, and it was later on, like you have a beer after the heavy day of training and they go, well done, you passed our test, you're one of us now. And I got my mess card, number 1, female number 1. Yeah. That was an honour. I wish I still had that today.
Yes,
but that
very
was
much
so.
Yeah.
But I went on to this railway project I worked on was the very first human resource information system set up in, I think, the whole of Australia. So I worked for the railway, which was a whole statewide, rail industry, trains. So that was pretty exciting. And then I went on to progress in that career. 15 years I was there, and the last 4 years I was the onboard services manager, which was a rail operations job, and I managed. It was hard. I applied for it. I had operations manager mentoring me, really believed in me being able to do it. And I got promoted into this role. I was managing a team of 10 and now managing a team of 350 people. 350 in 6 different locations.
That's a lot.
I'm 29 years old.
Yeah.
Most people who'd done that job before me were 50-year-old men who came from railway operations backgrounds. They were operations. And they all had heart attacks within a year. They all had a heart attack within a year. It was that stressful, that job. It was that stressful. We had, on average, a fatality every 2 months. Yeah, like I'm talking serious, hazardous industry, dangerous. But it was still very hospitality. It's like when you get on a plane and you have crew looking after you, providing hospitality. It's the same on long distance trains. You have a crew that's working the buffet car, serving you a coffee, you know, heating up your meal, waking you up in the sleeping berth. It's like aircraft travel, but it's dangerous. I mean, there's level crossing accidents and derailments and people jump in front of trains and you hit cattle, you know, all sorts of hazards. I had an employee actually die in another state. It's hard and on call 24/7, non-stop. Everything happens at 3 a.m. Mary, if something's going to go wrong, it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
It's
anyway, so
always.
So it was dangerous. My boss and I, who I recruited, we're the best working team ever. We made a lot of change. We saved lives. We improved safety procedures, and I was exhausted, and it was time to go. And so I went to film school. I left my big rail career and I went to film school, and I was really passionate.
Military to railway to film school.
Parallel. I did those two careers at the same time. So you think my railway career was big. I was doing another almost full-time job at the same time. I was doing 150 days a year in the army. A full-time job's 200. Yeah, it was big. Had a lot of energy when I was younger.
Wow. Honey, you have a lot of energy now. People think that I'm the ever Energizer Bunny. Well, you know, you have me beat. Let me tell you.
I don't know about that.
You're still in Australia though. How did you get to the United States?
Well, when I finished film school, and then I was asked to do this book full time. So I started full-time service with the Army, and I was on a joint US-Australian exercise and met the love of my life, Bill Perez, a US Marine. And he says he fell in love the minute he saw me, Mary. Took me a little bit of time. We used to hang out and stuff, thought that was all very fun. And I'd go, let's go to the gym, Perez. Let's go and get some lunch. And he was besotted. So he proposed after 8 weeks of knowing me. And then I was getting ready to deploy. One of the other things I did was help create a brand new Army Reserve unit, a civil affairs unit. So I helped launch that, and then I deployed with that unit to a little country called East Timor, which is just about an hour and a half off the coast of Darwin in Australia. And it's a beautiful little country. And so I deployed there, and I was engaged before, then I deploy, and then Bill's going to go back to Iraq for the third time. So we get married in between deployments. Like I literally was a war bride.
Wow.
And while I was there...
And he's heading off to Iraq.
Third time, yeah. And then while I was there, I actually produced this beautiful book. I wrote and produced it for my deployment in...
what a high-quality book.
Yeah.
This is not just a little paperback self-published book. This is the real deal.
Yeah, full-on published. By the way, zero budget. Zero budget for that one.
Oh, again. Yeah, of course.
Getting stuff done. And,
wow.
You know, Bill and I were married for about 18 months and trying to have a baby, and I'm 42, and we did a bit of IVF, and that didn't work, and we just had to be in the same country, and he was moving from Okinawa.
Well, when you're trying to have a baby, it's best to live in a close proximity. I'm just saying.
In your 40s. And for your listeners, who think that their time's running out at 25 or 26 or 30 or 35.
Bingo.
I met Bill at 41. We were married at 42, trying to have a baby at 42. And and I thought, it can't suck to live in Hawaii, so I discharged from the army. I was full-time army, and I discharged and moved to Hawaii. And I got pregnant straight away. Like, I didn't even know. I think I was pregnant for 3 months or something, and I didn't even know. Because I didn't expect it. I thought, well, if science can't do it, right? So,
right.
Best motherhood, parenthood, best thing ever in your life. My darling Henry's now 14 and a big giant like Dad, and it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. That's it.
Yeah.
Best thing. Doesn't matter what I've accomplished. Being a mum.
Absolutely. I think those of us who have walked the corporate path and chose that to be a mother along with the other piece can totally relate to that, Vanessa. That even as important as our careers have been to us, that gift of being a mother.
Yes. I'm so glad I didn't miss on that gift.
You can't substitute anything for it. It is a true gift to us.
I can't tell you how many times throughout my career as a career woman that I had said, oh, I'm a career woman. Like, and I'd thought by the time I hit 40 that I'd lost my window of opportunity to get married and have a child. No, I'd just go, it's okay, I'm an aunt. I'm a great auntie. And I was happy to be an auntie because I didn't think that marriage and family was on my cards. I thought I'd missed the boat. So isn't it just amazing when the opportunities come up in your life and you either take them or you miss them? And I think that was sort of where everything turned for me. I started to really tune into what am I meant to do? What are the things I'm meant to do? What I think they're going to come in front of me. Will I see them? And I've tried to really be purposeful about keeping my mind open to the things in your orbit that you used to miss. I used to miss so much, I think. But I still think that the things that you're meant to do they're going to show up. You either embrace them or you don't.
And sometimes people choose to walk through the door or they don't.
Right.
But the opportunities that are meant for you will show up regardless.
Yeah.
And we're just both very blessed to have been able to walk through that door.
Yes.
But now you're headed to the United States. Wow.
Yes. So I moved to Hawaii for like a year. I had a house at the beach at Manly Beach in Sydney. If you ever went to Manly, I mean, that's where I lived. It was beautiful. And
beautiful.
And that was 17 years ago.
Wow.
I moved for a year. And, so I was pregnant with Henry, and then Bill has another deployment. In fact, my beautiful husband, 24 years in the Marine Corps, deployed on 16 operational deployments. Like, you don't get much tougher service than that. And there was another one. And in fact, he was in Afghanistan when Henry was born. We were the first official Skype birth in Kailua in Hawaii at the hospital. So he tuned in by
Oh my
Skype.
gosh.
That was pretty
Get
hard.
that camera in there. See all the nitty gritty.
Kind of saw the end bit, yeah. Someone took a photo of him watching Henry be born. It's one of my favourite photos ever. And then this beautiful photo of when he came home and Henry was 3 months old. They met when Henry was 3 months old. But there might be other listeners listening, around childbirth and stuff. So I'm in a new country, didn't know many people, having a baby with my husband deployed, and I hemorrhaged postpartum. I lost 3.5 litres of blood. I nearly died. And I was like a real life code blue at the hospital. And bless, like I take that as another sign that I'm meant to be here, right? I'm here because I'm meant to do something and my work isn't done here yet. could have been so easy
Yes.
for me to have gone, like to just die post childbirth. The Marine Corps still wouldn't let Bill come home. Like, he still had to continue with his deployment. Like, it was crazy. I couldn't walk from here to the door for 6 weeks. I didn't get a blood transfusion. In fact, I've learnt since, working with the Red Cross here, I love the Red Cross, and we had a guest speaker come when I worked at Texas Instruments, and he came from Kailua, where I had Henry. And I said to him, like, I'm a blood donor, I'm an avid blood donor, I always have been. And actually, that was my fear, not heights, it was needles. I became a blood donor to get over my fear of needles. In the army, they line you up and they walk along and you get a jab and then another jab and another jab, and you're all in this big room and I went, I will not cry in front of these guys getting a needle. So I became a blood donor to get over it. I've been donating blood for, I don't know, 30 years. And it's also because I'm an O-neg, like I'm the universal donor, like anyone can take my blood. And I said to Dr. Walter Kelly from the Red Cross, I think I didn't get a transfusion when I hemorrhaged because they didn't have O-negative blood in the hospital. And he went, oh no, you didn't get a transfusion. They don't have any blood in that hospital. Like there was none. Literally, there was no blood. I very nearly was gone. So anyway, I think if you haven't donated blood and you're thinking about it, there's a real need for us as a society to look after each other and donate blood. So that's one of my messages. And we have a lovely little Red Cross now in Lehigh, which is awesome.
And I have a Red Cross donor station just about 2 blocks from me. So it's a very important piece.
It matters. It matters. So that's how I came to be in America and Hawaii. You know, I started a little business. I was at home with Henry and I thought I could start a business. I want to be at home with my baby. I could start a business. I'm sure there's something I could do. And I invented this, I solved a problem and I invented something and I had a patent pending and I designed and manufactured it and I brought it to life as a stay-at-home mum. And it was Henry Hats of Hawaii, and I'm just seeing if I have
so
one
you
to show
did.
you, but I redesigned a 400-year-old hat design, and do you know, I've always thought I failed with that because I ran out of money. Like I brought something to life. I didn't know anything about manufacturing. I didn't know anything about importing and business. I mean, Hawaii's not a great place to do business. Hawaii doesn't have... They make Aloha shirts is about the only fabric apparel manufacturing they do down there. And I couldn't find a mentor. And I just wanted to bring this thing to life. And I'm so proud that I did. And for years I thought, not even worth bragging about. Like I didn't... If I don't have my hats in every golf store in America, I've failed. But I didn't really. I really did bring something to life. And I really want to be proud of that. And that's kind of how I've come about to be where I am now. But I should fill in that gap. How do I get from Hawaii to Utah? So I ran out of money with my business, so I thought I better get a real job. And then my real job was actually working with transitioning military, guys and gals getting out of the military. I knew military. I've been recruiting and hiring people most of my life. I knew about branding. I'd created this business. I did my own website, my own branding, my own marketing. So I knew how to create a brand, and I wanted to teach these guys and gals how to create their own professional brand. I did LinkedIn training across all of the bases. It was my give back. And I started delivering training for Department of Labor, Department of Defense as a contract. They call it a TAPS trainer, transition trainer. But the program was so out of date 15 years ago. And there was stuff that wasn't included. So I just injected all of that into my training and coaching. Then they had these massive drawdowns. And so then I created my own career consulting, S3 Career Consulting, to bridge that gap. And I designed resumes and I wrote resumes, I wrote LinkedIn profiles, and I was able to really coach guys and gals, no matter whether they were enlisted or generals. I worked with all levels, and people were being really successful really fast. They were getting interviews straight away. They were getting hired straight away. And so I did that for a little while, and then I went in to do some agency recruiting. And when I was coaching, I coached this wonderful man named Art Banky, who's in our backyard in Alpine, and he was a real-life Marine Corps fighter pilot, a real-life Top Gun. And actually, he was the goose. He was the backseater, the Wizzo, the weapons systems officer. And I coached him. He was a colonel. I coached him when he retired from the Marine Corps. He didn't need it. He was a genius. And he was moving back to Utah. And he got a job at I Am Flash in Lehigh. Best company ever on the planet. Huge shout out to I Am Flash. Like, literally, of all my 40 years of working, that's the best company I've ever worked with. And so Art worked with I Am Flash, and he used to call and check in, how's it going? And he called and he said, guess what? I got promoted. I run the talent acquisition now for I Am Flash. I'm looking for a recruiter. Do you think we could tempt you to come to Utah? And I went, I don't know. Send me the job description. And he called a week later and he said,
what you should have said was, send me the job description of Utah.
And then he calls a week later and he said, well, you haven't applied yet. And I went, I'm sorry. I'm doing my resume. Okay, I will. And then we talked about Utah, and we talked about I Am Flash. We talked about how wonderful it was, and he loved it. And his family loved it, and all that accomplished. And I thought, this is great. And I was getting on a plane to go to Australia. I was taking Henry home to Australia. And then, so I'm at the airport waiting to get on the plane, and I get this call, and Art goes, hey, I'm in the conference room and I have the selection panel with me and I've told them how awesome you are. Can I put you on speaker? And then, so I did a phone interview while I'm waiting to get on a plane, and it was all the announcements going, and Henry's going, Mom, when are we getting on the plane? When are we getting on? I'm doing a phone interview, walking around trying to find somewhere quiet. And then they say, when can we meet you? And I say, well, I'm just about to get on a plane. And they go, when are you back? And I said, 2 weeks. And they go, can we fly you over? And I go, okay. And I came here and I go, it was incredible. I go, I've got to get this job. There was about 40 people that applied. I go, I've got to get this job. I did a video. I did the interview and I walked out and I did a video, and I had the beautiful Wasatch Mountains behind me. And I said, I've just done the best interview of my life and I have to get this job. And I posted it on LinkedIn. I don't know, had good views and stuff. And then I got the job. And all the wheels were spinning. Wow. It was like literally within 2 weeks, we're packing up the house in Hawaii and we're getting ready to move over here. And we moved in, we arrived at Thanksgiving. That was October, middle of October I did the interview and we arrived Thanksgiving. Oh, I love it.
You know, I think this is such a great example, Vanessa, of what it's like to really live in the present. Not live in the past, not live in the future, just live right now. A door swings open, and that was your now. You took both feet and jumped, and there wasn't like, oh, well, let me weigh this, let me find this, and blah, blah. When a door swings open, you used your natural intuition to just know, this place is for me. And you jumped.
And bless my family for coming on the ride. Bill had a great job in the federal government. He was a federal officer. And I think we were ready, though. We were ready. And we came over, we flew over, and we looked at homes. And we put on an offer on a home in Lehigh. It wasn't even finished. They told me to be white. It's not quite white, but we love it. And, you know, we touched down, and Art and Angie Banky were at the airport with their family and signs saying, welcome to Utah. And
we know how to do that sign thing here at the airport.
I tried to continue doing that when we were at, you know, Micron and Texas Instruments. When people came over, we would try and have people there to welcome them. It's part of the experience, right? Sometimes I say there's more aloha in Utah than Hawaii. It was so welcoming. You know, we touched down and Bill said, I feel like I'm home when we arrived in Utah. Isn't that wonderful? And we love
He
it.
felt it instantly.
Yes. Yeah. And he's from New Jersey. He's a New Jersey boy, but he's lived around the world, and he hadn't really lived back in America for 24 years. He traveled around the world. And for him, this was home. It was so good. And we've loved it. We love our community. We've loved our, the companies that we're working at. He works at the VA now. He's a federal officer at the VA in Salt Lake. And he just loves being connected to the veteran community. And then, I Am Flash was phenomenal. So that site's been through a little bit of change. So anybody transitioning through change and mergers and acquisitions, I'm a bit of an expert in that space now. So we transitioned from I Am Flash to Micron. Loved my Micron experience. And then more recently, 3.5 years ago, transitioned to the Texas Instruments. Loved Texas Instruments experience. I transitioned from TI in early October of last year, and I think it was leaving big corporate was the right thing at the right time for me, and I've not looked back. I love this journey of the startup space in Utah, like doing business in Utah, being in the startup space is so bloody exciting, and people are like, not like you know everyone. You know everyone in Utah. And I thought I knew just about everyone until I opened up the door into this startup world, and it's crazy exciting.
Right.
And meeting new people every day, and everyone says, what are you working on? How can I help? Who can I introduce you to? How can I support you? How can we connect you? How can we get behind what you're doing? It's like that, Mary, isn't it? It's phenomenal.
It is like that. It is like that. And, I think I would like to have one of my projects before I end this time on Earth is to get you in front of someone that can do a brain scan on you.
Oh, really?
I would love to see a brain scan of your brain and what that looks like. And then give you different stimulus to see what fires in your brain. Because this is why I think you are so unique, and why the study of your brain would be something phenomenal. First of all, you're one of the most adventuresome free spirits that I know. There's that adventure piece, that fearless piece that you have learned to handle. And then there's the rough and ready piece. You're not just some prim and proper person that sits behind a computer and does their little thing. You're rough and you're ready. Okay?
Gritty.
And then the adventuresome piece inside of you. Yeah. I mean, I just bring it on. I'm ready to go. Let's get this adventuresome piece going. There's nothing in your brain that says, look for safety and stay there. So many people have pieces of their brain that are only looking for safety. And you don't have that piece. So, and your brain is one that
Sometimes
says,
I wish I did.
What's next? What's next? What's next? And I know that whenever you leave the space that you're currently in, just like when I left my career at age 65, the question was not, what will I do? It's what's next?
What's next? Oh, yeah.
What's next? What's next?
I'm not retiring.
In fact, I'm so busy. I said to John the other day, I think I'm ready to retire from this retirement. But you just find joy in life. That's you.
Thank you.
I love it.
Like you.
I want to scan your brain.
Oh, thank you. I kind of wondered that a little while ago, because I have so many friends and even family members who've been kind of impacted by depression and anxiety, and I don't know what it is about me. I get anxious or I worry, right? But I've been sad, but I've never faced depression or the debilitating sadness that some of my friends and family are facing. It's heartbreaking, and I I would
Right.
totally let someone scan my brain and go, what's different about mine compared to someone that experiences that?
Right.
Anyway, could I read you something that my little friend ChatGPT helped me with today as I was
I love
prepping
Mr.
on-
ChatGP. I haven't learned to tame him yet. He's a bit riley with me, but tell me what he said to you, Mr. GT.
doing some prep for another podcast that I'm doing this week. I'm going to be talking with AJ Rounds on the Midnight Founders.
Oh, I
which
love
you've
AJ.
been-
AJ, yeah,
Love
I've
AJ
been on his.
Rounds.
Yeah.
I like to create momentum from mayhem, and I thrive at the intersection of big ideas and real world grit.
Oh,
That's me.
read that one more time. That's so powerful.
I like to create momentum from mayhem, and I thrive at the intersection of big ideas and real world grit. Like a
Intersection.
great big, ugly, hairy, audacious project is like, give it to me. I'll
Yeah.
take it on. You need some great big ugly thing solved? It's for me. And that's what I'm working on now.
And it doesn't
Can I-
suck the air out of you. It breathes the air into you.
Oh, so much excitement.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to you because we've known each other for about 5 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are such a you are a light that walks into the room. You are a light that commands an audience. Like people are lining up to talk to you when you walk in a room. every room, every time. And we first met on the board of Mountain Land Technical College, where we both
did.
served board of
We
trustees,
did.
and continue to serve. And it's one of my favorite ever boards. And at that time, it was about the first or second board that I'd ever joined. And some of them came to me because of my role, but I wasn't familiar with that space at all. Like, it was quite daunting and terrifying. And to see you at those board meetings was like oh, thank God Mary's here. Like, because I watched and learnt from you, and you mentored and coached me and gave me the confidence to speak. I don't think I spoke for plenty of board meetings.
Yeah,
And
at
Julie
least the
King
first
also loved
one. Girlfriend, I don't know what dream world you're living in, but you are always speaking, and you're always commanding the room, and always the light.
Got the confidence from you. I was terrified. I didn't know I didn't know what I was meant to do or how to behave. And it was probably a good 6 months into it before I went and did the training down in Cedar City. Like, I really didn't know how to be on a board. Sometimes I still get a bit unconfident about it, right?
Yeah.
But and I've been involved in about 15 or 16 boards now. But
Yeah.
But for me, you shaped my confidence to be good and confident in that space. So I want to say that's how we met, and I thank you so much. And we've just developed this great friendship over the years, and you're still like my wise go-to in spaces and at events, and it's great to see you at all,
I feel
all
the
things you're
same
involved
about you, Vanessa. And I do remember some of those first boards I served on. Maybe not some of the very first ones, but like when I finally was on the Intermountain Hospital board, and then on the Zions Bank board. And when I would go in there with all those high roller companies, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just me. And so I really
You're a
had
high
to
roller
learn.
company. You built a high roller company.
I really had to dig deep to say, what is it that they see in me? That they want me present.
Yeah.
And I learned to look through their eyes at me rather than my eyes that said, I don't have anything to offer here. Well, what are their eyes seeing? And like on the hospital board, it was, we need a community member. We know you're not a doctor, Mary. We know that you don't understand all these acronyms, and you're like very upset with us that all we do is use acronyms. But we need from a community member, what does what we're doing make sense? And on Zion's Bank board, what I realized was that here were all these high roller companies, but the catering company knew what was happening in the economy before anybody else did. because we knew whether people were booking new events, whether they were confident about the economy, whether they were growing, opening, launching new products, whether they were pulling back, slowing down. I knew things that they didn't know yet before when they were happening, as I was watching companies and how they catered and entertained and and so I'm like, that's my little piece that I bring here.
Yes.
And so we all have such unique pieces that we bring.
I agree.
And your unique piece, and I don't know if you know it, but your unique piece is that you say it just how it is. So we love the honesty piece.
That's the Australian in me.
Yeah, I know. I love it. But the second thing is that I hate to use this cliche because it's so overused, but if there was ever a person who thinks out of the box, it's my girl Vanessa. Thinks of a different way to do something. Yeah. And I think that's why you have exploded onto the scene of the startup companies and now in charge of the organization that handles this huge business in Utah of startup, is because you're not just saying, this is how it's always been done, and follow this worksheet, here it is, I'm sending you over this program, here's the link, fill out the boxes. You want to learn about what makes them tick. And then you want to create and help them see how to create. Think over here on the left-hand side. Your brain is so used to thinking over here. What if they worked together? How about this idea? You are opening up the startup companies in Utah like they've never been opened before.
Well, I hope so. That's the goal, isn't it?
That's you. You're her. You're she. You're like that.
And I am pretty unconventional. I don't know whether that's because I'm an Aussie or just so many years in special operations where people are unconventional. Like you got to literally solve problems with nothing, and lives depend on it. That's been in my DNA for a long time, and I am so excited about MakeUtah and what we're building. And we're building something from scratch. It doesn't exist.
Well, tell us about what it is. What is MakeUtah?
MakeUtah is, well, it's going to be, we are ramping up right now. We're still pretty scrappy. We're in the early stages. We have a beautiful facility. Thank you. Huge shout out to doTERRA, the founders of doTERRA, who've so kindly allowed us to build MakeUtah in this beautiful space at the headquarters in Pleasant Grove. We have 15,000 square feet, and we are rapidly building this community of startups. We have, I think, something this week, maybe 24 startups and growing, maybe another 4 in the pipeline, and we've got dozens more coming. That's probably 70 odd people on the floor right now, but we're growing out of the space. Like the goal is to create this hard tech incubator. Utah is so good at soft tech. We're so good at launching technology. And we're doing it. We've got, 8 unicorn startups that have come out of Utah. We're so good at it. But what about the inventors, the innovators, the daydreamers that have a thing that they want to bring to life? A product, a device, a gadget, a hard tech product. We don't have that space that allows them to have access to tools and equipment and experts, and be able to bring that product to life from concept to commercialization. So we are creating that space. Think kiln meets R&D. Think co-working space meets invention factory. And our end state is an 80,000 square foot invention factory that will allow any innovator to come in with their napcad, they're drawing on a napkin, or their list. This is my list of inventions. I have more than 70 right now. They're not all, some are just ideas and products and things to make. And Mary, one of your ideas is on here and credited to you as well.
Oh, good. Do you remember when we had lunch together? And you just said, I have 80 ideas. I think I'm going to bring 59 of them to fruition. And I'm like, you go, girl.
I have 3 I'm working on right now. They're all different. Because like you've probably got 15 more in your mind that ideas of problems that you've solved, things that you've invented. And like so many other, any mum, grandmother, mother I think, has inventions in a mind. And we want to create that space that allows you to walk in the door and say, I have an idea, help me bring it to life. And hopefully I make money from it, and hopefully it changes the world. And so many of those ideas just die. They never come to life. You might tinker in the kitchen with it, you might tinker in the garage. Some innovators may even buy tools and equipment to bring their products to life, and then can't scale it from there, can't take it any further. Well, we're there to create that ecosystem to bring it to life and bring it to market. And that's exciting. And we won't stop with one location. We will create it, prove it, scale it. I see MakeUtah in Make Lehigh, Make Utah City, Make Provo, Make Blanding, Make Price.
Oh, wow.
And every city has the opportunity to have their own economic engine in their city, and bring innovation, bring manufacturing back, and create economic opportunity in their city. Mm-hmm. We are modelled off a very successful incubator in Chicago. And the first 2 years, they were a bit scrappy. They had 60,000 square feet. They were a bit scrappy. And after 5 years, they created $4 billion worth of economic impact in their city. $2 billion in VC investment, $1.9 billion in revenue made by startups. They're graduating 1,000 startups a year, making their products and graduating and going on to create their businesses. They created 6,500 jobs, 533 patents, and 1,600 products. And when we create that space, we will have the ability to create that economic engine as well, wherever this location is. Yeah. 60, 80,000, 100,000 square feet. And it's self-sustaining. You only need that location and that first investment. It only costs about $10 million a year to run that operation, to bring in that kind of economic impact. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And to all these women that are listening, and especially mothers and grandmothers who have all their life said things like, oh, somebody needs to invent something to help me, blah, blah. If that phrase ever crossed your mind or came out of your mouth, somebody needs to invent.
Right.
Well, you're the one with the idea. And Vanessa, you're the one here to help them bring it, to make it happen. I think about my dear friend, Karen Tebbs. Do you know Karen? Karen Tebbs? She is a big person at Utah Community Credit Union. I think that's right. I might misquote that, and she might work for somebody else. But anyway, she is in her 60s, but she's a grandmother. And she said, I have literally ruined my car by having my grandchildren in the back seat, and they want a drink of my bottle, whatever I'm drinking, whether it's a can of soda, but it's usually water. And so she said, I constantly was reaching back like this, handing them my bottle of water, and the next thing I know, it was everywhere. Because they didn't know how to drink out of a bottle. They didn't know what to do with it when they were done. They would just throw it on the ground and it would just go everywhere. And she said, inevitably, I would have some sort of a punch thing in my water bottle, and then it would be sticky everywhere. She invented a sippy cup cap that she had in her purse that you could just pull out, stick on the top of every single water bottle ever made.
I've seen it. I don't know her, but I've seen it.
And hand it back to her grandchildren. She said, I started saving my cars, and then I realized, there might be other grandmas or moms or nannies that would like this. And the next thing you know, we all have something like that we've thought, I wish someone would invent something that would.
Yes.
Well, if you ever thought that, the idea is yours.
And
Vanessa's the woman to help you.
Well, no, I'm building this team of experts. I'm just the daydreamer. I don't know how to bring these things to life. That's why it really matters that we create that ecosystem with the tools and the equipment, the experts. And we are building this phenomenal movement of people that can't get enough of what we're doing. They come in every day and volunteer, Mary. Volunteer every day. They see the momentum. They see the traction. They know that they're going to be able to help, like, inspire this next generation of daydreamers and innovators and tinkerers and problem solvers. And that's developing our workforce of the future. Yeah. We need it. Yeah. We need to get back to making our own stuff. And
Trump must love you.
He will.
No, we won't go there. We won't go political. Okay, but Vanessa, I want people. Our time for today is up, but we haven't even talked about things like, so what is your purpose and how are you finding it, and what is your vision for? I mean, there was so much more. So, first thing is, will you promise me that you'll come back?
Please, yes.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, as soon as we're done on this call, I want you to send me an email, a quick email that has the links where people can find you. We're going to put that at the end of this podcast so people can go on and find out what's your website. Where do I find out more about MakeUtah?
Thank you.
Where do I follow Vanessa on LinkedIn? What is her social media? Because I know people, anyone who has a dream in their heart needs to be connected to you. And so they're going to be like, how do I find Vanessa? So send me that email so we can put all those things on here. Yes. And then I'm so excited that you will be back. Let's say 6 months from now.
Yes, that would be lovely.
And let's see what MakeUtah is doing and what new thing has Vanessa uncovered.
I'll have some inventions to show you. I'll have real
products.
Yes. Thank you, Mary. Oh, that was so much fun. Thank you.
Love you so much, Vanessa, and thank you for bringing your light to us. Mwah. Hi, son. Hi.
That's Henry. Come say hello.
Hi, Henry.
His hair's a bit.
He was like,
Mary.
Mom,
it's a big
please.
giant. We were just talking about
Ixnay with the camera. All right, thank you so much. And until next time, everyone, be thinking about what's next for you to craft your meaningful life. Thank you.
Crafting a meaningful life.